Hello everybody, I'm OCDsaster, and this is OCDsaster Blue, my Sonic exclusive channel where everything we do here is Sonic related, so if that sounds like something your speed, consider checking out some other videos after this one and subscribing. We are doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be doing a tier list for Sonic characters, but it's going to be objectively on what political party they're associated with. Now, I want to preface, I am not a political person. This is not a political channel. I'm not trying to make any hard political statements here. This is just something that I think would be really funny to do, to objectively look at each Sonic character and place them somewhere on a scale of politics in the United States. But if you are somewhat triggered or upset by politics in general, tired of it, I completely get it, and this might not be the video for you. I'm not going to any specific people or politicians or anything like that. I'm doing exactly what the video said. I'm objectively placing these Sonic characters, these fictional anthropomorphic characters, into these tiers. And yeah, if you're not a fan of this kind of content, you can go ahead and skip this one. I do have tons of other non-political Sonic related content here on the channel if you want to check those out. So yeah. And you can even let me know down in the comments if you're one of those people that had to click out. I'm curious of why you clicked on the video in the first place, but this is more for memes, for funniness. I mean, I'm taking this as a joke. It's not serious whatsoever. So here is the tier list. It is not based off of like the top is S tier or anything like that. It's based on a scale of being close to the center and then pushing to the extremes. So you can either be center left or center right. And if you're center right, you would then be a Republican or move into conservatism and then into the radical right. Whereas if you're the center left, you would move more to being a Democrat, to then a liberal, to then a radical left. I know there's much more terms and tiers here, but I'm trying to make this as general as possible so we don't bore people with details. So I would say most people that are apolitical or just don't care about politics, they mostly lean center-right because they're getting a lot of their information off of Twitter and headlines and just kind of rolling with that. And in the United States today, a lot of that is right-leaning, and so they're kind of just believing whatever that right side agenda is. Sometimes socially, though, you know, they're very pro-LGBT, or, you know, the social issues, they're still a little bit more left-leaning, but when it comes to, like, capitalism, knowing the news, they kind of stay more towards the right. Whereas the center left are more of the people that are in tuned with kind of like the media and what's being kind of pushed. They don't really care about politics, but when it comes to social issues, they still have a, you know, they're more aware than people that are center right, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't, because politics don't make sense whatsoever, but that's what we're going with here. Then you go to Democrats. Democrats are very socially left-leaning. They're definitely more socially tolerable of things, but when it comes to the economics, they're still very much more capitalistic than other, you know, parties up here. Whereas Republicans are moving more into that traditional sense where they, you know, are Christian, basically. They're not all Christians, not all Republicans are Christians, but the fundamentals of Republicanism is mostly around that. They're very capitalistic. They're starting to be more like man and woman. They're not necessarily favorable for the social movements and for more of the cultural aspect of things. Not saying all Republicans are like that, but just more of a generalization. Liberals, well, you know all the memes. Liberals are the blue-haired ladies. That's a very, you know, unflattering take. But liberals are more, you know, activists in the left space. They're leaning more towards socialism, where it's more equality-based and further away from the capitalism side of the world. Conservatives are really into, you know, those traditional values. The husband works, the wife cooks and cleans, very traditional household values. They are starting to lean more into that right-winged pipeline. They watch a lot of like right-wing politics. They're definitely not favorable of the LGBT community. They're not, you know, very acceptable of other races. That's kind of the conservative right there. And then radical left and radical right, as much as people don't want to believe it, these two are actually very similar to one another. They usually go to extreme violence. They support, you know, very far out there media outlets that really push an agenda. Both of these radical sides, they will actually do a lot of infighting with their respective parties as well. So even if there's a liberal that believes in most of what a radical left believes in, but like one or two things, that radical left person will ostracize them. Same with the radical right. These are more cults. Think more cults once you get here. And then it goes more towards sanity as you get closer to the center. I know that was very long-winded, and I do apologize, but I feel like it's good to explain where everything is. And once again, I'm not saying anything is necessarily worse or better than the other. I'm leaving that to your discretion. This is not a political channel, so I am not going to give my personal opinions politically. I'm just objectively looking at this and placing these Sonic characters. So, like I said, center-right are usually the normies, the people that are apolitical and don't really look into what is being said. Sometimes they are pro-LGBT, but they're still very capitalistic. They believe in the economy. They usually get their headlines from Twitter and, you know, other just bigger media groups, and they kind of just take it at surface value because they don't care, right? They really just generally don't research, and that's absolutely fine. So these would probably be Knuckles is definitely center right. Jet would also be center right. I might add more people in later, and I don't know all these characters in here, so this is literally like a huge amount of Sonic characters, including like their comic book parts. So we're not really going to go into that right now. But yeah, so center right, Knuckles and Jet. Center left, Sonic is definitely center left. He's not very political at all, but when it comes to social changes and societal equality, I think he's definitely more center left leaning. Eggman is a radical right winger. He is an authoritarian. He wants complete control. He wants to be a dictator. So Eggman is definitely a radical right. Tails is a Democrat. He definitely follows a lot of the left social values, but when it comes to the economics and the policies in that regard, he's still very much into capitalism. He doesn't fully sign off into socialism. Amy is a liberal. She is a Karen, and you cannot tell me otherwise. Look at that haircut. Look at her quills. She definitely is a liberal. She's definitely about activism and social change and does not believe that capitalism is a good thing. Metal Sonic is a Republican because I think that's funny. That's really my only reasoning for it. He has a master. It is Dr. Eggman. So it just makes sense that he would fall more onto the right side because he's okay with having an authority figure over him. Shadow is a radical left. He is the antithesis of anarchy and of defying any type of political structure or governing body. He, went towards the president in Shadow the Hedgehog. So, yeah, Shadow is definitely a radical leftist. Rouge is going to be a Democrat. She definitely believes in women's rights and, a bunch of laws regarding that, but she still likes herself a little bit of capitalism here and there. Cream is going to be also a Democrat. She's there for the girlies, but she's also not super invested into the socialism output, so she is a Democrat. I'm going to put Cheese with Cream. They're kind of a pair, even though a Chow I don't think really has any political affiliation. Blaze is actually going to be a liberal with Amy. I just think it makes sense with her background, with how she saw the future. She's royalty, though, which would make you think she would be towards the radical right, but there are good people that are in higher power. So I would say that Blaze is a liberal queen. Silver Silver is going to be a liberal as well. I think he's not super far into the radical left category, but he's definitely all about change and doing what's right. Big the cat is a conservative. I'm not gonna go too far into this, but it's just Big the cat is a conservative. Omega is a radical left. He does not like his oppressors. He's prone to high violence to anyone that does not fall within his belief system, even though he's a robot. He's very opinionated, which I find absolutely hilarious. Vector is a conservative. It's just what it is. I don't make the rules. Vector, the crocodile, is a conservative. SVO is a center leftist. He's more apolitical, but when it comes to, you know, those social values and stuff like that, he leans that way. Charmy is a dumbass. That's not related to where he's at, but he kind of just goes with what the normies go with, so he is center right. I don't care about these two, so I'm going to move over to Wave. Wave is a Democrat. She definitely believes in a lot of their system, but once again, kind of falls under the capitalist side of things. Storm is a radical right-winger. He follows the authoritarian to a T. He will not, you know, stray away from the talking points. He believes every AI video that is sent to him. Sage is interesting because she kind of follows in Eggman's footsteps. I'm going to put her, she's like at the cusp of Republican into conservative because she does her own autonomous things, but she still falls under the authoritarian figure. We have Styx. Styx is center right. I have a feeling that's where she lies. Tikal is a liberal. She's not fully invested into the radical left mentality, but she is very close. She's all about socialism, even though she is royalty. She sees what it can do. Her father would definitely be a radical right-winger. Chaos is a radical leftist. Gamma. Gamma is a center-left. Maria is a child. She has no voting power. I believe because she's a Robotnik and she's kind of following in her grandfather's teachings, she's probably Republican. I know that's probably going to get a lot of people upset, but you have to actually think contextually because her father is actually a radical leftist now that I think about it. You know how I said these two are very similar? I guess it depends if you're talking about pre-gun Dr. Gerald or post-gun Dr. Gerald. This would actually be a very interesting video to touch on because I think before Gunn invaded the Ark, he was very much a radical right-winger, but then once he lost everything, he became a radical left-winger. So that's why Maria is still in the Republican tier, because she was alive while he was still down here as a radical right-winger. But as he, you know, lost everything and moved to the left, that's why he's up here now. Then we have the commander is obviously a conservative. He follows under the authoritarian figure. He takes the orders without question. Doom is a radical right-winger, even though he doesn't follow American politics whatsoever. If he did, he would be in the radical right party. We have Mephiles. Mephiles is probably far right, if I had to guess. He's kind of on that outside spectrum as well. We have Chip. Chip is a liberal. I believe that with my whole heart. Very socialist mentality. We have the Deadly Six. So we have Zavik. Zavik is definitely a conservative. I would say Zaz is a Republican, and I don't remember her name. I'm sorry. I don't really remember any of the Deadly Six. I never played Sonic Lost World, so I'm kind of just going off of vibes here. You guys can let me know if I'm wrong. But this is what I'm feeling based off of how they look. A lot of character designs, you know, they do reflect personality. So that's where I have the Deadly Six, but I could be deadly wrong about that. The Donpa is a fierce ruler among many and likes to see people suffer. He has a facade for sure. Infinite is a radical right-winger. He wants to be the one in control, the authoritarian figure. Emerald is a Republican. Democrat. Elise is a liberal. Once again, royalty, but, you know, left-leaning royalty. Oh, we do have Tikal's father here, so he's the chief of the Echidnas. He's a radical right-winger. Amachao is center-left. Same with Angel Chow. Dark Chow likes just complete global annihilation. Trying to see if there's any other of these characters. I'm not gonna do like some of the variants of these people. The professor is definitely a liberal. What do we got here? They even have the wisps on here. Yeah, like look at all this. You see all this? It just keeps going and going and going. I think I'm gonna end the characters here. Let's go ahead and take a quick review. So in the middle, the apolitical people leaning towards the right. So the normies, these are the ones that kind of just go with the flow. I have Knuckles, Jet, Charmy, Styx, and then whoever this Deadly Six member is. So, you know, they look on their phone for like 2 seconds on, you know, main mobile apps just to get their news, and since most news is more right-leaning, they just kind of take it at face value and repeat it. Then the apolitical left, they don't care about politics, but if they had to, they would lean towards the left. It'd be Sonic, SBO, Gamma, Amachao, and Angel Chow. Then we move to the Republicans. These are people that they may or may not believe in some of the social issues, but they definitely lean harder onto the right side of the capitalistic and traditional values in America. That would be Metal Sonic, Sage, Maria, Zaz, this chick, I can't remember her name at the moment, and Emerald. Then we have the Democrats. These people are very socially, you know, they care about the causes. They're pro-LGBT and that kind of stuff, but they still lean towards the, you know, capitalistic side of the economics. They definitely do that. So we got Tails, Rouge, Cream and Cheese, Wave, whoever this is, the Boomerang Girl, right? Or is that Styx? Is Styx the Boomerang Girl? Who are you? I'm a fake Sonic fan. Then we move to conservatives. These guys just kind of believe everything that the right-wing pipeline feeds to them and just eats it up like slop. They believe in traditional values. The men are the providers. The women stay at home. You're misogynistic kind of folks. They don't really care too much about, you know, minority groups, and they're really just in it for themselves and whoever's in that authoritarian position. So that's Big, Vector, the Commander, Zavik, and the gluttonous guy. All right. Then we go to liberals. So these are the people that are definitely for activism, social change. They are more in favor of socialism than they are of capitalism. They're very anti-fascist, anti-establishment, but they're not to the point of violence. So that's Amy, Blaze, Silver, Tikal, Chip, Elise, and the Professor. Then we move to the radical right. So these are the authoritarian figures, the folks that just they want to rule, they want to be dictators, they believe that everyone should fall in line. They do not like minority groups, they do not like the LGBT, they are very, very extreme in their pipeline. They have talking points that if any of these Republicans or conservatives don't fall in line, they ostracize them, they are a cult. They believe every AI video that they see. Dr. Eggman, Storm, Doom, Mephiles, Danampa, Infinite, Tikal's father, and Dark Chow. And then you have the radical left. These are the people that are violent towards any type of establishment or government. They are anarchists. They believe that the world is in a terrible state and they need to do something to change it. And they despise anyone on this tier list that's not in the radical left. So that is Shadow, Omega, Chaos, and Dr. Gerald. And once again, Dr. Gerald is an interesting case where he used to be radical right, but after Gunn took everything from him, he became a radical leftist. And so that concludes our tier list for Sonic characters that are objectively in each political party and affiliation. What did you guys think? I think this is hilarious that, Metal Sonic is Republican and that you have like Big the Cat as a conservative, but I actually have tangible reasonings behind all of these. I didn't go into extreme detail on this. Once again, this is for jokes, this is for memes, so this is where I think if you actually had to put these guys on this tier list, this is where they would be. I apologize that I don't know all the Sonic characters, I can't go into all of the stuff, but what did you guys think? Do you agree with this? Let me know down in the comments your thoughts and opinions, and let me know where you think I was wrong. I didn't put it in any extreme order in each tier, but I really believe this is the definitive list. You have your apolitical people in the middle, and then you kind of span either to the far right or to the far left. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up. I'm OCDsaster, and I hope you have a super Sonic rest of your day. See ya.